Dom you.
Dom you.
Dom.
Dom you.
Domination University. Welcome to Dom U. This is Francesca J, and I'm here with Sami Saurus from the Office of Personal Power, and we're going to be talking about the power of manifestation today. Welcome, Sami.
Thank you for having me, Francesca.
Absolutely. So it's so appropriate that you're here for such an episode, and this is good stuff, girl. Good stuff.
I absolutely agree. I think manifestation is one of the most powerful and magical things that we can understand in our life. I feel like we open ourselves to so many opportunities when we realize that we innately have the power to make whatever we want happen, essentially. Of course, there are external factors involved, but we still have the ability to choose which way that we want our life to go. We get to choose the direction in which we go. We get to choose the people in which we have in our life, and whether we have negativity surrounding us or whether we have positivity surrounding us. We basically have the ability to pick and choose. It's like those stories when you're a kid that choose your own adventure books. So many people, they just grab a book and read it, and they're not choosing their own adventure. They're letting the adventure choose them. And sometimes it ends up not being an adventure as a result. Some people just floating on the breeze. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that because you're opening yourself to other opportunities. But when you realize that you get to choose your own adventure, that's when so many different doorways open up for you. So I truly believe that inside of us, we have this ability to attract what it is that we want in our life. I do believe a lot of what we put out is what we get back. Now, nobody's perfect. Everybody has bad days. I'm not saying you always have to be super sunshiny and positive 24/7. That's definitely an unrealistic expectation. But I do believe that if you try to live positively, you try to think positively, you actually will be surprised to see how much positivity can be attracted to you. So what we put out in this world definitely has a direct result of what it is that happens in our life a lot of the times. Like I said, there are obviously circumstances in which that is not the case, but knowing that this is kind of the way that it works, I definitely feel like you can't go wrong by being positive and trying to attract positivity into your life. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And life takes on a completely different shine when you realize that, you're designed to have a more active part of your reality, of your life, than it seems on the surface. And when you look at people around you, people that are who have unfortunate circumstances, and you see the people who are able to overcome that and go leaps and bounds and achieve these amazing things without really any other assistance but their own positive energy and persistence. Those are the types of things that, those are the types of things that you have to look at when you're in a state where you're wondering, can I actually change my circumstance? Am I a victim of circumstance, or can I actually be an active creator of my world? But this has been studied for many centuries as well. I mean, possibly very, very early on in human existence. When The Secret came out a few years ago, Sami, did you see The Secret?
I did.
You did. What do you think of it?
Well, I definitely had mixed reviews. The concept, I think, was very astute and very on point. I think it was a really great point that what it is that we put out, we can bring back to ourselves and have returned to ourselves. The only negative part of I didn't read the book, I watched the movie. The only negative part of the movie is it seemed like most of it was based around how you can manifest physical wealth for yourself. It's like, do you need a new car? Guess what? You can have one. All you have to do is want it. Like, I felt like they were missing the point a little bit, you know, like so much of this stuff was like, do you need more money and a better job and all of these fancy things? Well, it can be yours. I think that is vastly beyond the point, personally. Yes, I believe the law of attraction does work, and I understand what they were putting out there, but I think one of the most important things is to manifest true happiness for yourself, and whatever that may be. Everybody is so different. Everybody finds happiness in different things, and I understand that now, you know, this day and age, a lot of people determine success by the level of wealth that they acquire. And, you know, a lot of people want that nice car and the white picket fence and the fancy $3,000 couch or whatever it is that they want, and they truly view that as success. So if that's what people want, then I say more power to you. Go ahead and manifest all this meaningless crap that you can't take with you in the end, you know, when your time comes. I think it's much more important to figure out what it is that we really want in this world and what makes us happy, what makes us tick, what we are passionate about. And whatever those things that we are passionate about, that's what we should focus our manifestation powers upon. And it's so different for everybody. So I think it takes a lot of soul searching to figure out for the individual what it is that gives them that feeling of success. Personally, for me, it's traveling and acquiring knowledge as I go through this world. I want to know as much as I can about this world and all different cultures and history of the area. I'm very interested in geology also, so I want to know the history of the physical earth as well and how these mountain ranges were created and how these inland seas once existed and all of these things. So for me, my passion is understanding more about the earth and the humans that have inhabited it. So for me, in my life, I've focused a lot on traveling and being able to get to a point where I can travel. Obviously, I'll never be able to travel as much as I would like because, of course, there's limitations. I'm not a rich person. You know, it would definitely be handy in this case to have all the money in the world to travel, but it's not realistic. But what is realistic is me being able to kind of hone in on what it is that I want and being able to make that a reality. And I think a big part of making something a reality is setting things in stone. This is so important. If you decide that you want to do something, for example, you know, I want to go on a trip to Europe. Okay, what do you need to do to make that happen? How long do you think realistically that it will take for you to make that happen? So let's say, okay, you know, I'm a little low on funds, but I think I can do it in a year. Okay, set that date. Set a date. Write it down. Put it in your brain. Tell people whatever you need to do to solidify that this is going to happen. And then you do whatever you need to do to make that happen. You start saving up what you can. You start cutting corners wherever you can. I actually have a separate bank account. It's a travel checking account. So I just put money directly into my travel checking account, and I don't use that money for anything else. It's not available for bills or for whatever. It's only there for traveling. So that, for me, is a way for me to have a physical reservoir for my energy that's going into it. So once you set an intention and you set that date, then you're on your way. You're halfway there if you know that you can do that. A lot of people, they're like, oh, I'd really like to do this sometime. Okay, well, how much do you like to do it? Do you need to do it? Do you want to do it? Are you going to do it? That is the difference. It's the terminology that we use with ourselves that really makes an impact, I feel, personally. So when we decide this is going to happen, then every day moving towards that goal is one step closer to making that goal happen. For myself, I've recently decided me and my husband are going to be moving to Greece. We're going to be going the end of next year. And this is something that we really, really, really want to do. We have a lot of reasons for wanting to do it, and we are doing it. We are doing it. I'm not wavering, saying, well, maybe, hopefully, this and that. We are doing it. And I'm setting the sights on the end of next year. And I do understand that if there are other factors that need to push it back a little bit, I'm not going to be down on myself. But the goal is the end of next year, I'm going. And I'm not going to let anything stop me. I've moved around this country so many times, and it's all because I've set my intentions. And I've said, you know what, Arizona, you've been cool. I'm going to California. I'm going on this date, saving up the money, packing stuff up, finding a place to live, doing the thing. You just have to do it. You can't sit around and think about how cool it would be for this to happen someday, because the thing is, nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to come and magically whisk you away to another land unless, some magical person comes into your life and you just flying on the breeze we talked about.
There's a slight chance. Yeah, slight chance.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice if that could happen? But honestly, I think it's more rewarding when we take it upon ourselves, when we don't allow somebody else to be the master of our own destiny. We take control and say, this is what I want to do. And then you start thinking about logistics of how that you can do it. And then you just move forward. It's all about continuously moving forward and not staying stagnant. I know it's very easy for people to be stagnant or feel stagnant in their life. A lot of people have jobs that they just feel like is the same every day. I know that the weather can get people down during the wintertime. People can feel a lot less motivated, a lot more bummed or whatever. But I try to use the wintertime to kind of make my plans. I use it to work on artwork. I use it to kind of just clam up a little bit and hang out with people that I want to hang out with, and just kind of use that time productively to make a plan. So that way, when the sun starts shining and the weather starts getting better, I already know what I want to do for the most part. I already know what my motivation is going to be. So I try not to let those dark times drag me down as much, and try to use it as fuel, future fuel, basically. So I think it can be done. It can be done. If you want something bad enough, anything is within your power. It's pretty cool.
Fuck yeah.
So I want to kind of break down a couple of things that you said, because you make it sound so easy, because you have traveled the world and you have moved all over the U.S. from, Seattle, Florida, San Diego, Colorado, and just road tripped all over the place. So when it comes out of your mouth, it's inspiring, and it sounds fairly easy enough. But a couple things, especially as when you were first talking when we began, everything that you were saying sounded very much law of attraction kind of esque wisdom, because law of attraction is just a term. It doesn't, it's not power in its own. It's just trying to name a particular mechanism of power. And then when we were talking about The Secret, one of the unfortunate things, and I personally did like it. I thought it was a great introduction to just energy tendencies and whatnot. But I feel like a lot of people walked away from watching The Secret thinking that they could just sit on their ass and a phone call was going to ring, and then they'd get off their ass, answer the phone, and then bam, your dreams have come true. And so, kind of breaking that down, there's so many different books that you could read. Think and Grow Rich, for example, and that was written in the 20s. Or at least it was started in the 20s. It's a pretty epic business book, but it breaks down a lot of law of attraction, but it breaks down more so organizing. And one of the things, and Sami, of course, is completely self-taught, and all the glory that you do, you just she came out of the womb knowing all this, by the way.
She's constantly
Thank
learning,
you.
but she
That's
came
true.
out of the womb fully grown and like totally emotionally mature.
But anyway, so law of attraction is one thing, and breaking down law of attraction or trying to find like a better way to describe the importance of being positive, the importance of being optimistic and being in alignment with your desires. It's huge. The structural tension that is your desire is a very powerful thing. And unfortunately, the tricky thing for people is that there is no clocking in and out with your positivity. You can't clock out and then start being negative and then clock back in like, okay, I'm ready to start manifesting. Okay, I'm discouraged. I'm going to clock out. Oh, this isn't going to work. Oh, shit. There's certain things that just, you got a little slack. We got to wipe that shit off. Stop complaining. Sure, something's going to come up and you're going to have to handle that shit and it might suck. Move through it. You can't get stuck on the difficulties. And culturally or socially, you can kind of picture probably someone in your life, maybe from a different generation, telling it like it is. Let me tell you how it is. Let me tell you how shitty it is. And, there's for so long, different family members potentially will communicate in that way where they'll just talk shit and tell you like it is. So it's a little bit tricky I've read up on all the teachings of Abraham stuff. That's some really good law of attraction type of material. And for me, I'm in sales, so it's very easy to get discouraged, from 1 minute to the next during the day. So I've really kind of delved into that stuff. And whenever I'm kind of out of sync or feeling negative, I will delve into it again and play some of the stuff. But there's some key things that are important in manifesting and law of attraction. And other than the positivity, Sami, what are some of your key things for manifesting? Do you have any like particular tips or, for the mind or, the actions that follow?
Well, I feel like I have a little bit of a head start because innately I'm an extremely positive person, but I'm extremely logical as well. I don't feel like I am positive to the point where I'm being naive. I feel like I'm positive within logical parameters, but I am an extremely positive person just generally. So I know that it's not as easy for everybody to be as positive in a daily basis. But I think it kind of comes down to being aware of your thought patterns and being aware of how you view the world. I don't know, for example, if it's raining outside, you can be like, fuck, it's raining, I'm going to get wet, my shoes are going to get wet, my glasses are going to get wet, like, it's going to be hard to drive. You can be negative if it's raining, or you can view the rain as watering the flowers and the plants and bringing life to everything else, So that's just one example of rather than complaining and seeing the negative in something that happens, I personally try to always see the positive, even if it's a really shitty situation. And sometimes it's hard in the middle of the day when you got a lot going on to think positively. I'm definitely not perfect in that aspect, but I do try to see the positive in as much as I can. And that's just something silently that happens within myself. It's not even necessarily things that I'm vocalizing. This is just within myself. I try to always see the best in everything that happens. So that kind of trains me to think more positively rather than be negative and complaining. Honestly, I will tell you, I feel like complaining is a killer of positivity. Oh, man. I have been a complainer in the past. Oh, man, it not only is destructive to yourself, but it is destructive to everybody else around you. Now, I know sometimes shit is worth complaining about. I complain myself sometimes if things frustrate me. If I have a shitty customer at work or something like that, like I will just have to let it out and vocalize it sometimes. You know, I understand that sometimes we have to have a release for frustrations that we encounter. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but you have to limit the amount of negativity that you exude and the things that you say. I don't want to be known at work, for example, as being the person that complains constantly about everything. Who wants to work with that person? No one. I don't want to work with people that are constantly complaining about stuff. It's okay every now and then if you have something that you need to bring up and you need to vent about. It's cool. We're all humans. But complaining too much just kills the vibe. It kills the vibe in yourself, and it just drops the energy level down of everyone around you. I mean, if you observe that there are certain people that try to be more positive, and then there's certain people that are just pissed off or just irritated about everything and constantly want to tell you how bad everything sucks and yada, yada, yada. And what does that do for you? If you're on the other side of that, you're like, okay, like, sorry, bummer, I don't know what to say to that, you know, like, all right, good luck, I'll see you later. And then you remove yourself. And the next interaction that you have with a person, if it's going to be the same type of thing, if it's going to constantly be somebody exuding negativity, you're not going to want to be around that person. I don't want to be around that person, and I especially don't want to be that person. I mean, I have a lot of physical limitations that have come up over time. I have a bad knee. I have a bad back. I'm really short. I can't reach a lot of things. I got a lot of things like points working against me. You know, it's really hard sometimes just to be me, you know, like I'm an adult. I want to reach that pan on the shelf, but I can't. It's frustrating, you know, whatever. I can complain about it, or I can just own it. You know, it is what it is. With my knee is messed up, but I don't go around complaining constantly every day about it. If somebody says, hey, how are you doing today? I'm not going to be like, well, my knee's real bad today. You know, I'm not going to tell everybody that. You don't do that. You know, I understand if somebody is a good friend and is like, hey, how are you feeling? Then I might be like, hey, dude, my knee's killing me. You know, I'm okay, but my knee's killing me. But that's it. I don't want sympathy from anybody. I don't want pity from anybody. Like, it's nice to know that people care about me and they might ask me, how are you doing? And they genuinely want to know. But I'm not going to go around and kind of put that negativity out there into the world, because I know it's not going to make somebody's day brighter. It's not going to make my day brighter by harping on it. So I do feel that is really important, is to be mindful of what you are thinking inside of yourself and how you view the world. And then also it's extremely important to be mindful of what energy that you are putting out there to the world. And a lot of things are nonverbal. And this is the thing. Even if you're not complaining or you're not, you know, venting your frustration verbally at that moment, I truly believe that we exude energy that other people pick up on subconsciously. I am a very empathetic person. I'm a big empath, so I feel people's energy. They don't even have to say anything. They're like, how are you doing today? Like, oh, I'm good. I'm like, what's wrong? Like, I know. I can just tell. So, you know, that's one of those things where we need to be aware of what we're thinking and feeling inside and what it is that we are presenting to others about us. I want to walk into a room and have people feel a lightened vibe when I'm there. I want them to feel happier and feel sparklier and feel open to being themselves and feel comfortable around me. Like, that's what I want to put out there into the world. The last thing I would want is for somebody to be like, oh, God, here she comes again, Miss Negative Nancy over here. Like, that is not good for anybody. So if you are existing in that state of mind consistently, I mean, what do you expect? You're not going to have sparkly, sunshiny people want to be around you that much, because it's going to drain their energy. So if you want people that are feeding your energy, you have to feed their energy as well. It has to be a circle and a cycle. I mean, there's definitely those energy vampires, people that have talked about where they just are sucking your energy out of you. And I don't even think a lot of people do it consciously, to be honest. I think some people just are like that, and they're negative and they're bummed and they want to be around happy people so they can knock them down a notch, and then they feel a little better, misery loves company kind of attitude. And that sucks, personally. I don't want to be around that. I want to be uplifting, and I want to be inspiring to the people that I am around. So just changing your thought patterns and thinking of things positively instead of negatively. Like, for example, me and my husband, we thought about a couple of years ago how it would be really cool if we could buy a house. But it would be really great if we could buy a house. I don't know if we can physically do that, though. The more that I thought about it, I just decided that I was going to shift my perspective and not look at all the, well, what about this? What about this? I mean, I was being logical, obviously, at the same time. I wasn't being, naive about it. But I was like, no, we can do this. Let's figure out how we can. Let's not look at all the reasons why we can't. Look at the reasons that we can and focus on that and push that into the direction that we want. And we bought a house a few months later. We made it happen. And I truly think it's because we were thinking so positively about it and just put our energy towards that rather than looking at all the reasons why it would be hard or why we couldn't do it or whatever. Obviously, thankfully, we had the money to be able to make that happen, but it was partially manifesting that money. It's very interesting. We got to renovate a lot of things in our house, and we didn't even know how we were going to be able to afford to do it. But I surprised my husband because he's like, honey, I don't know how we're going to be able to do it. I'm like, we got this. We got it. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're going to think positively, and I promise you we're going to make it happen. And we got everything that we wanted. We were able to do it. And I really feel like just looking towards the positive and looking towards the this is why we can, not this is why we can't. That's where the power of manifestation comes from, in my opinion, in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. Awesome. Telling it like it is. That's exactly the thing, though. Telling it like it is or telling it how you want it to be it completely changes the tone. And, complaining feels so good when you're letting it out and you're just giving it away. Here, you take it. Let me just unload on you. And then when someone starts unloading on you, you're like, complaining sucks. I don't really want this, but here it is. But it just, when you think about it, when you have a particular situation, it's not just one thing. Whatever perspective you have is not going to be the same perspective as another person necessarily has. And then amongst your own perception, there's so many different spectrums. You could look at a situation that you don't like and be like, or you could look at a situation that you don't like and be like, I'm going to fix this. This is where we go from here. And that's such a key integral right at ground zero. That's such a huge, huge thing in terms of starting to get momentum, starting to feel connected to what's going to shape your life. The see no evil, hear no evil, think no evil with the monkeys, how they cover up and stuff. Think about vibrationally a situation where, you could have gone a particular realm. You could have gone there with your mind. Maybe it was talking shit on another person, gossiping on another person, or just kind of getting malicious. And if you were to engage in the thoughts, that is a particular vibration. And then if you're going to take the thoughts and actually speak it and say it out and put it out, it's like you're birthing that negative energy.
And
yes,
when
absolutely.
Yeah. So and birthing positive energy, it's exactly the things that Sammy's been saying. Is you're grounding it into reality. This is where we're going. This is what's next. And you're building up just this perfect vibrational structure for things to go the way that you want them to go. There really is a lot going on in those subtle layers of existence, and you can tell because of how it feels.
Definitely. And that being said, too, I think it's important to have a constructive way to release the negativity that we do feel, because we will feel it. So we can either just spread it all over the world, or we can have a certain system designed that we design for ourselves that's a way to get that out. Like, for example, I'm the singer in a punk band, and I write my own lyrics, and I sing the shit out of my lyrics, and that is my escape. That is my release. When I'm frustrated about what's happening in this country or the world or whatever, I can write a song about it, and I can yell it and just let it out at full volume. And that, to me, is a productive way for me to let that out. So now I've created a song out of it. Hooray, it's a fun song. People really like it. You know, I can play it live, and people are like, fuck yeah, I totally understand. You know, fuck this. I'm with you on it. So that's really cool. You can get people to, you know, I don't know, I don't want to say sympathize, but to understand where you're coming from and feel it with you, as opposed to dragging people down around you. Or maybe if you're an artist, you're going to paint out your frustration. That's not my outlet. I am a painter, but I tend to paint happier, fun things. And that, I guess maybe that's just me kind of, I don't know, honoring my happy side. So when I'm painting something, usually it's like cute little ice creams or creatures or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, it's bringing me happiness doing it. But when I do music, it's definitely not like happy sing-songy singer-songwriter type of shit. It's like, it's fucking political punk, a lot of it. So there's my outlet. So I think if everybody kind of focuses on having some kind of constructive outlet. Some people go work out. They go to the gym. They're having a rough day. They go beat up the punching bag, or they go run on the treadmill. And, like, that's helping their body as well as releasing all of this stored energy. Some people write poetry. That's great, too. You know, whatever. You need to find a positive outlet for the negativity that you will encounter as a human, and figure out what the best way is to deal with it without bringing everybody else down around you. Now, I will say, though, that friendship is a little bit of a different situation. If you have a good friend and they're having a rough time, it's not like, oh, you're being negative, I'm not going to be around you. It's a matter of, you know, I don't know, putting yourself and your own needs aside sometimes to be there for somebody else and to care about their situation and to truly feel it. So in that case, I don't feel like it's negativity. It's just everybody goes through shit, and sometimes you need to be there for other people, and sometimes other people are going to need to be there for you. And that is okay. But you just have to make sure that there is some kind of energy exchange, and somebody is not just sucking you dry constantly. If every time you have an interaction with somebody, they're bringing you down and sucking your energy out of you, then that's not a very healthy relationship to be in. So, yeah, it's a matter of finding that good balance of being there for somebody, caring for them, but not taking on their negativity, and being able to give them positivity in return. It's easy to just be like, yeah, that fucking sucks and everything else sucks, and now let me tell you about all the shit that I have that sucks, and now you're both just like bouncing all this negative vibes off of each other. And sometimes there are days where we need that. We just need to bitch about shit. Like, I understand. I'm a really passionate person, so I definitely get really fired up about stuff. I'm not saying that I don't, but in general, I try to be positive as much as I can be. But there are those moments in life where you just have to be in that moment, and not every moment is great. I do understand that. And me being a very fiery Sagittarius, it doesn't help sometimes. But you know what? I try to feel it in the moment, and I get it out. That's something that, you know, I'm glad that I brought this up, is that I feel like when people bottle up their emotions and their feelings, that's when things go terribly wrong. I feel like if you're able to let it out, then it causes like a release of pressure. So if, for example, I host karaoke at a bar, And sometimes there are some drunken assholes that come in there. And I try to be kind to everybody, but sometimes it's just not happening, and people are obnoxious or they're disrespectful or rude or whatever. And rather than me just sit there and be like, assholes, and I should say this and I should say that, I'll say it. I will say it to them. I let it out. And I let them know that this is not okay. Like, this is not okay. You cannot act like this to me. These are the reasons why, and this is what you can do to do this better or whatever. And believe me, I've actually had some pretty good results of people being like, oh, damn, I didn't realize that I was doing that. I sound like a douchebag, huh? Damn, I'm sorry. Like, I've actually had people own it, which is good. And then I feel better because I released it. I let out how I was feeling. I didn't sit there for the next week and be like, oh, that person disrespected me and I didn't do anything about it. Now they're just walking around thinking it's okay or whatever. You know, I feel like it's really important to let it out. It's like when a balloon, you're blowing a balloon up and the balloon is getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and there's not much flexibility left in it because it's so tight that it's about to pop. But if you just let a little bit of air out, then when something else happens, there's room for more air to go into the balloon. You're not going to burst. Your jar's not filled up. It's very important to make sure that you're not filling yourself with so much of this negativity and not having a way to let it out that it just overcomes you. And that's, I feel like, a big contributing factor to people's depression and anxiety just in general. I mean, I know there's clinical reasons that people have that, but besides the clinical aspect of it, I feel like it manifests in people because they have unfinished business. They have things that they haven't dealt with, and they're just shoving things in this jar constantly. And then when that jar gets full, there's not much room for positivity at that moment. So you've got to keep emptying it out is what I feel. And I got to say, working in the service industry, it is difficult sometimes because there are those strings of shitty customers, and you can't let it out to them. So the only people you can let it out to is your other coworkers, you know, which can be exactly what we were talking about earlier, where you can be the complaining guy, you know, but find another way to let it out. Whatever that may be, it's different for every person. But that's my advice. Just find a way to channel your negativity so that way you can cultivate more positivity inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Resetting from the mind. And there's not enough time here to talk about all the different ways that you could try to manage energy and whatnot. But we can talk about pivoting, just mental pivots that you can take with your mind. So, you know, think about how this feels. I don't have this. I don't have that. You know, I need this. Oh, you know, versus, oh, I can get that. This is what I'm going to do so that this comes to me. Or, you know, the latter is so much more directed towards what I actually want. So I'm not thinking about what I don't have. I'm thinking about what I want, and I'm basically drawing myself to it, not just, you know, mentally, but emotionally. And I'm grounding it into, I can achieve this because I have the power to, and it's coming. And you start to get some traction. And so there's very simple situations, you know, that you can take. I mean, Sami, you gave such great advice on trying to basically, well, I mean, that's just basically being a boss, you know, laying down the law. And when you're able to speak your truth, you can speak to people with so much respect and so much power that, you know, you get great results. But it all starts with how you think and what you say and what you put out there. If you're going to feel like you're a victim of a situation, or if you're, you know, the person who's reshaping the situation. So it's important to recognize and not lose track of what you don't have, but to remember of what you're capable of. Sami, do you have any other tips? There's a few things that I do when I'm basically down. Like I mentioned, I'll listen to audiobooks. I'll just kind of try to inoculate my mind with, okay, law of attraction kind of stuff. Think about what you want. And when I say law of attraction, it's basically my kind of go-to expression of that is to think about what I want and to focus on how I can get what I want, even if that's me shifting or like, okay, well, what comes next? How do I do this? Or what can I do in this situation? So that you're in a forward moving, action type of position versus let's reflect on what I don't have. Is there anything, Sami, that you'd like to volunteer in terms of kind of lifting yourself back up or like strategizing?
I don't know. I think that maybe visualization for me is really helpful. That if I'm visualizing myself having something or doing something or being something, then I feel like that gives it even more power. You know what I mean? Like just knowing that this is what you're going to do and physically seeing it and having like visual inspiration. Like, for example, like I want to move to Greece and I want to be an archaeologist and a geologist. So I'm seeing in my mind me doing these things. I'm seeing myself in Greece. I'm watching videos on Greece. I've been a couple times, so I have personal knowledge about it and my own experience, but I'm constantly watching different things about it. I'm learning more about the culture. I'm part of Greek news, so I'm up to date on the news that's there. I'm trying to integrate this into my life to make it feel more real. So it almost seems like it's already a part of me, even though I'm not physically there yet. So I think visualizing and integrating those things into a part of your life will help you to bring that to you. Does that make sense?
Reeling it in, huh?
Yeah.
Reeling it in, just getting in alignment. Yeah.
Absolutely. So kind of going off what you said, for me, I mean, the more you can do that in its simplest form, just visualizing it, feeling how it feels to be there. It's just totally connecting you in so many different ways, between the actions that you need to take to actually get there, and just the mindset to move forward is so key. Because I mean, like you were saying earlier, people will talk about things like, "Oh yeah, I think I want to move to Greece. I think I want to sing in a punk band." Versus, I'm going to sing in a punk band, or I'm going to move to Greece. There's completely different energy.
I think a lot of that is because people are afraid to fail, that people have this fear of failing. So rather than them make a definitive statement, I'm going to do this, and then fail and then feel bad about themselves and have to retract what they said to everybody, I feel like it's easier to just leave it open-ended. So that way, if it doesn't happen, they're not held as responsible because they didn't say it definitively, And I think that's kind of part of the problem, personally. Although I understand why people do that, but it's a matter of having that confidence and just pushing towards that goal, personally.
Right. Yeah, they're just kind of looking at that goal from afar. They're like, oh, that goal looks nice. They're not actually working. So these are the types of things that basically hold you back, Manifesting is not about just thinking about what you want to manifest. It's about moving forward. Vision boards, kind of going back to what you were suggesting, vision boards for me have been pretty helpful in the past. I actually just made all my 2018 ones a couple months ago. Yes, and I have a couple different ones. I have one in my office, and then I have one in my library. And so I look at them in different ways. One is actually just a lot of words, and they're all connected for different kind of realms of how I want my life to be. And then the other one is more picturesque, and just sitting down at my desk or sitting down in my chair in the library, which that's like how I start my day is I get up and I go to the library. But it's such a big difference to constantly be reminded. It basically keeps you in check, from the difference of, oh, I think I want this versus I'm going to do this. It's like, there it is. Yes, I'm going to do this. And suddenly you're just so much more likely, or just you're so much more fluid between what you want and what you're actually doing to achieve what you want.
And it's a matter of pulling the trigger on those things too. Like if you have a vision board, and let's say, I don't know, just an example, You're like, I've always wanted to take salsa dancing classes or whatever, and you put it up on your board, like, that'd be really cool. Like, there's a salsa dancer picture that you get to look at. Well, make a phone call. Go online. Look at the different salsa dancing classes. Figure out one that you like and that you can afford and whatever, and book it. Just fucking book it. And then show up. And show up the next time, too. You know, like, you have to pull the trigger sometimes when there's these things that we see that we want. And I think what you're saying was a great idea, the vision boards and having a visual representation of what it is that we want to do. So getting that in your mind and figuring out, like, wow, no, this is something I really want to do. I cared enough to put it on this board so I can look at it every day. Well, do you expect the salsa fairy to come down and whisk you away? Like, that's not going to happen. Like, you have to make the effort to making this random thing happen. And I know it's hard with time. A lot of people are working most of their life, which is extremely sad that we have to do that in this world. We have to work and we don't have a lot of extra time, and people are tired during the week and what have you. I know that there's a lot of reasons why people can't do these things, but if you want it bad enough, just do it. Just book it. Figure it out. If you need to cut back on something, if money's tight, you need to cut back on, you know, some extra bullshit or whatever so that you can afford your little salsa dancing or whatever, then do it. How bad do you want it? Like, if you want it that bad, you'll figure it out, and it'll be totally worth it in the end. So, yeah, visual representations are good if you're willing to follow it through.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the next, you know, kind of point to highlight is just breaking it down. When you were first talking about how you manifest, you know, nothing was basically just waving a magic wand. Bam, there's that. I want this. Bam, wave here and there. You know, you're actually, you know, using your left brain and basically breaking down the steps that it takes, you know, formula wise, to move on to the next step. And so if you watch The Secret and you've studied the law of attraction and you don't know why you haven't kind of moved forward, well, sometimes it takes some preparation. Sometimes it takes some planning. So it's important to, you know, not be deceived by the fact that there's that interplay between the receiving and the asserting and the being inspired and the doing. One thing that's worked for me is delegating. It's teaming up, and you'll hear that a lot in the Think and Grow Rich book. But in doing Dom U, one of the things that's actually has me doing it is that we have multiple officers that are making sure that this happens. And without teaming up, I wouldn't have the accountability that I do. So this is actually the first time in my life where I've been able to kind of let go of like it just a solid iron grip on something like an aspiration that I had, because I'm getting to the point where I want to do so much and I'm doing so much that I really don't trust myself to accomplish a fraction of what I'm capable of without teaming up with someone else. So, Sammy, case in point, I don't think I'd be talking to you right now if you weren't a part of this. I would probably just be fantasizing of, oh, Dom, that'd be fun. Be a great way to, you know, connect with my girlfriends and like, you know, just try to pull together some positive energy and elevate. You know, I would probably just be thinking about that. So it's definitely important to, you know, break shit down, even if it's just breaking down your workspace. One of the other things I did before moving forward with this project is I started cleaning house real good. I mean, I donated a plethora of stuff, threw out a bunch of stuff, and just breaking it down so that, you know, when I'm able to do the different things that I have to do, it feels good doing it. You know, unfortunately, feng shui really is a real thing, and, you know, maybe not as academic as it is, you know, kind of studied, but to be able to feel comfortable in your environment. I want to feel good in my library. That's why I go in there and I meditate and I read. Or, you know, I want to feel good at my work desk. I want to feel like I can actually power through and, accomplish these steps that I've laid out that need accomplishing.
I'm glad you have that space for yourself, that you've actually figured out that that's what you need to kind of move your energy. I'm glad that you've been able to make that happen. But speaking of making things happen, I think you're a prime example for everything we've been talking about. Honestly, like, look at it. You had this idea to make Domination University. You called me on the phone and said, I have this idea. This is what I want to do. I want you to be a part of it. There's a couple other girls I want to be a part of it too. I'm going to do this thing. And within no time, boom, you've got a website up. Bam, you got spreadsheets and shit. I've never even seen a spreadsheet in my life until this. But guess what? There it is, fancy pants. And now we're recording podcasts and doing all of this. Like, you have made this happen. You had an idea. You visualized it in your mind. You said, this is what I'm going to do. And you have made it happen. I mean, this is the best example of manifestation right here. Like, you did it. And it is happening as we speak, literally, at this moment. So, and it's so gratifying to see it come to fruition. I'm sure this is your baby. This is your idea. And here we are doing it right now. So I think once you succeed in one of your missions, now that just fuels you even more for the next mission. You'd be like, well, I wanted to do Dom U and I did, so now I can do this other thing. Like, I feel like it's just a cumulative growing power inside of us. Like, a lot of people have this power that's like greed and all of this stuff that's running this country. They think power is determined by taking from others and being above others. But I think true power comes from knowing what our own power actually is and being able to use that for good. Use that to make what we want in our life. Use that to help other people by inspiring them to know that they can do it as well. So, well done following through on your visualization and your idea. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this isn't the first major thing I think I've accomplished in my life. I'm an artist also. I'm a musician. As soon as I moved to LA, I got classically trained. I put out an album a couple of years ago. I performed. So there's it, and I become successful in the workplace. That's why I can whip up a spreadsheet, and I love every second of it. Sammy, you have no idea how much I love spreadsheets. It brings me joy. But all the corporate shit that I've learned over the years have given me skills that I can apply to an organized, enterprise like this. Did you get the Google Calendar I sent you about tonight? We're pretty, we're laying it down here. But
yeah, I'm impressed because you're doing that part that I could not do. So I think it's good as a team where we each kind of have strong points in different areas, and that's definitely yours. You're a Virgo. Your organization is top notch when you want it to be. So, yes, that is very true. But you are an extremely dedicated person. I mean, just knowing that you're like, I think I want to sing in a band. Like, I'm going to go take these vocal lessons. And now you can hit notes that I never would have even imagined that you could hit. It's amazing that you went full force with it and found a legitimate vocal teacher in Hollywood, with clout nonetheless. And you made it happen. You formed this band. You did all this stuff. You played at the Whiskey a Go-Go. I mean, shit, how many people can say that? That's amazing. You might not be at the top of the Billboard charts, but your music's not shitty enough to be at the top of the Billboard charts right now, so maybe that's a good thing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, when I when I break down everything that I've done, I mean, I guess I'm fortunate. So this is in being positive instead of me saying like, oh, it was so hard for me. I was at a disadvantage. The reality is that I was fortunate enough to want a lot of things that didn't come naturally to me. And I wanted a lot of things that just weren't handed to me. I mean, like, I don't come from, my parents were not connected to me going to college or career or anything like that. My own desires professionally have been 100% on myself. My own desires to sing. I mean, it takes a lot of ambition to devote yourself to sing when you don't naturally sing. That that requires a very high, yes. That requires a very high tolerance for sucking ass for the sake of the cause. And I had a vocal class actually the other day, and I hadn't been singing as of late. And because I am classically trained, so that's a big difference between Sami and I. Sami has such a gorgeous voice. You have to hear her. Not only does her speaking voice sound like super cool, but her singing voice, she just has such powerful lungs. And then here I am where I've struggled. And so then I got classically trained, and then I just put my voice in bel canto, and I just, sing up to the rafters. So it's nice that I was able to kind of acquire a skill set that is bel canto. But my point is that it did not come naturally. I had to really suck. There was a lot of bad singing that came between my beginning days, not that that stopped me from performing, because it didn't, but to actually get to the point where I could sing, that takes persistence, and that's another thing.
Oh yeah, that's even more rewarding in the end, when you're like, wow, that's not something that I really wanted to do, it was not good, but when in the end it felt probably even better than somebody that can just sing, that takes some voice lessons to like tune their voice up, and then they're just like la 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 la. You really had to earn it. You earned that shit. You did.
Yeah.
And with me, like going to school, I feel like that is not something that is going to come naturally to me at all. Being in a structured school environment sounds like hell to me. I dropped out of high school. Believe it or not, I was like, fuck this. And I never thought that I would go to college. I was always like, man, carpe diem. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm just going to figure it out. I'm going to float on a breeze. I'm going to make it happen, whatever. And I have up till now. I've done all right for myself. But now I've come to realize that in my adult life, I'm 37 now. So it's just bizarre to me that my mind has changed to that degree, where I've decided, you know what, I care enough about knowledge that I'm going to sacrifice and go to school and have tests and sit in a classroom and have homework and all of this shit, just so I can get to the goal. I never thought that I would ever in my life utter the words, I'm going to go to college. I always knew I was interested in these kind of things, but I just thought that I would just self-educate and enjoy it from that degree and just be fine with it, just be like, okay, well, I watch all these documentaries and I've read some books and I'm good. But now I feel like there's this like overwhelming quest for knowledge that has just built up inside of me, and I realize the only way for me to really get that kind of education is I'm going to have to go and get a formal education. And then for me to work in the field, I need to have that stupid piece of paper that says, in fact, I do have this dumb education, But it's very intimidating for me to do it. It is not something that is coming naturally or normal, just like you're singing, You're like, I want to be a singer, but fuck. I'm not a good singer, so I have to do all these things to get there, And for me, I'm like, I can't imagine being a student and being in that rigid type of setting. But, I'm going to give it a go, and I'm going to go full force into it. I mean, just over the past few months, I've been working on learning the Greek language. That shit is so hard. It is really challenging, man. But I am dedicated, and I am putting so much energy and effort into learning about it. And I'm scrambling, looking for tutors, people to help me beyond what I'm doing. I'm doing Rosetta Stone, and I'm doing Greek Pod 101 and a few different avenues of trying to learn. And I cannot find a Greek tutor in Seattle for the life of me. So it's frustrating because I'm like, hello, I am trying to progress here. Like, can somebody please help me? You know, I'm taking on a really big undertaking of I'm going to learn an entire language that is really different and extremely challenging, that follows totally different rules a lot of times than English. But I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm not going to let it drag me down. And I feel like it's going to be that much more rewarding in the end when I was like, wow, I didn't think I could ever learn a language like that, but I did. Or I didn't think I'd ever be able to sit through college classes and get a degree, but I did. You know, so I'm just moving in the direction in which I feel that is in my best interest, and it's going to make me a better person. And even though it's going to be really hard and it's going to take a lot of energy and dedication to make it happen, I'm not going to expect the Greek fairy to whisk me away and do it for me. I have to do it. I have to study. I have to focus. I have to ask questions so that I truly do understand it. You know, it's just what I have to do if I want to reach my goal. So I think me and you are both pretty good about taking these extremely challenging goals and making them happen. So if I can learn Greek, anybody can do anything, I swear.
Oh, you'll be fine. You're one of the smartest human beings I know. And I think a part of me just loves the fact that you dropped out of high school because you're so fucking intelligent.
Thank you. Well, I was intelligent enough to see that it was bullshit. They're trying to make you learn bullshit that doesn't fucking matter. Why do I need to know what the square root of fucking X is? Guess what? I don't. I never will. I will never use that. Stop trying to fill my brain with some bullshit that I don't need. I'm out.
I love how you don't put up shit at all. So here's some good news. Some good news is that I know a good amount of Greek people. So I could probably get, one of the dudes in Klepto. Those dudes are from half a Klepto. You know that punk band Klepto in LA. Remember how you met Tartar Control in Seattle? Yes, they're connected to Klepto under like a big artist musician circle in LA. And the band started in Saudi, but two of the guys are actually Greek. So maybe you can work something out to actually Skype with one of those guys, or or just have like a conversation. I don't know. I mean, if you're looking for like a tutor or whatnot, but you could basically talk to them. They speak multiple languages, but their heritage is Greek. Yeah, so that should be helpful. So that's that, but just breaking it down. And so bringing in, it's kind of trying to close this up, bringing in that positivity to every single step. So again, you're not waiting for the Greek fairy to just insert the Greek language into your mind, but you're bringing a positive attitude to every single step of the process of learning another language. So these are, this is more of a breaking down process, which is the reality is that we actually have to teach that, because most people take a situation where they actually have to do something and they're like, oh, okay, never mind. And a lot of times it's the difference between, what you accomplish in life is whether or not you have to work for it. If you have to work for it, well, that's a completely different story.
Oh, I totally wish I knew another language. And then they start doing it and they're like, are you kidding me? This is so much harder. This is so challenging. Like, people just bail. A lot of people don't follow things through. And you know what? Sometimes you start something, you think you want to do something, and you start it and it's not for you, and it's okay to bail. You don't owe anybody anything. If you decide that you want to learn another language and you're learning it and you're like, this is not my thing. There's no shame in saying, you know what, I changed my mind. This is not what I want to do. Then I want to invest my energy in something else. So I think it's important to not be too hard on yourself as well if you don't do as well as you think you're going to right off the bat or whatever. It does take time. Like you were talking about with the singing lessons too, like it took time, and you said there was a lot of bad singing. There's going to be times where you're going to try something and it's not going to be what you want it to be, but it's a matter of following through and having faith in yourself that that you will be able to sing those notes if you just practice and you try hard enough. So I think that power lies within all of us. It's just a matter of changing your mindset and focusing on what it is that you want. And if it's something that you, in fact, really, truly do want, you just can't give up. You can't give up, and it will happen, and you'll be a better person in the end for it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, the hardest part is getting out of the trenches. The hardest part is just getting started, and bringing in that focus, that enthusiasm, or that just law of attraction type planning and inoculating of your mind. The better it gets, the better it gets. That's the other phrase that they use when they talk about the law of attraction. Because once you start getting confidence, once you start moving forward, Sammy's learning Greek, and then she can recite the alphabet easily. Oh, now she knows the numbers. Oh, now she knows how to describe Greek food. Now she knows how to describe you just move forward, and you're gaining confidence, and things are getting easier, and they start to snowball in a positive direction. And then you get to the point where you're starting to live your dreams, and everything's going so well, and then it keeps going. You keep focusing that energy. So unfortunately, if you're not where you want to be, and you're not even close, and just know that if you choose direction, and you choose to harness the energy and harness just your own connection to your mind and to your thoughts and to the things that you say and to the things that you do, your discipline, the easier it's going to get, the more momentum you're going to have. It will get easier, and then it'll just be easier.
It is. It's totally true. The hardest part is just pulling the trigger and actually moving it forward and making that commitment that you're going to do something. That is the hardest part of it. But just bringing it back to the Greek thing, like when I first started, I was really intimidated. I was like, oh, shit. How am I ever going to get this? This is so hard. What am I thinking? Am I insane for thinking I'm going to be able to do this? Like, it was like kind of intimidating really at first, but I just said, nope, I'm going to go, I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to keep going. And there was one point where I progressed past like the first unit or so, and I went to the second unit on Rosetta Stone, and I started to be like, oh man, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fucking do it. And I was like, what? Stop thinking like that. Like, you're going to do it. You got this. Like, change your attitude. Do it. I'm like, okay. So I just tried to be positive and started rolling with it. And now I feel more confident. I do have a lot of questions that I do need to have answered. Of course, I need a real, true teacher to really get it. But I feel proud of myself that I have progressed as far as I have just in the beginning stages. Like, it's not as scary as it was in the very beginning. Looking at the alphabet, and like they would show the words spelled out, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, oh my God, how am I ever going to know what the hell that says? That looks like squiggles and triangles, and like, oh my God. But once I progressed a little bit and I stepped back and said, hey, let me just put this on pause. I'm going to go learn the alphabet, and I'm going to learn how to pronounce the alphabet, and it's going to help me along. So I did it. I learned what all the letters are called and how they're all pronounced. And I still have a farther to go. I'm not perfect at it, but I have a better understanding, so I can actually look at the squiggles and I can sound it out. I can do that now. I can totally sound out the squiggles. So for me, I feel like fuck yeah, like, all right, I've done it. And it's giving me this power, and it's giving me this motivation where now I feel more amped up about it. And I feel like so much more confident in myself. If I would have just done the first lesson and been intimidated and given up, that would have been the end of that. But I didn't allow myself to do it. I kept persevering, and I knew that it was for a purpose. And now I'm starting to feel even better about it and more confident. And that's what you're saying, is that like the better it gets, the better it gets. Is like the more confident that I get, the better that I'm doing in the studies, which makes me even better at it, which makes me more confident. It's just like this cycle, and it's working. It's working, and I think that could work for, a lot of different things that we would try to do in our life. Is you just got to got to keep trying, and you got to remain positive about it. And I think the results that you see when you approach something with positivity, it's pretty magical. It's not waving a magic wand, but it doesn't come for free. It comes with work, but it's really gratifying when you finally succeed in what it is that you're going to do. And the next time you want to manifest something, you want to do something, now you're like, well, shit, I did that other thing. Now I can totally do this. And it just makes your confidence inside grow. And when you know you can do anything, you really can. You can pretty much do just about anything within, your physical parameters at that point. So just don't take no for an answer, especially from yourself.
Right on. Yeah, it'll snowball in whatever direction it's going. It'll snowball up, it'll snowball down. But it's not about having like a magic wand. It's about wearing the right shoes. You know what I mean? Having the right shoes for the journey.
Like, I'm good.
Yes, that's a really good metaphor.
Good.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to hike up Mount Everest in high heels.
Right, but you're not going to wear boots to the club.
Yep.
Right on.
No, that's good. You got to be prepared mentally and physically for whatever it is that you're going to do.
Yeah, just get off your ass, start moving. Sami, what else do you want to tell us about manifesting? Any other like final tips, suggestions, or just what else can we squeeze from your brilliance before we go?
Honestly, all I have to say is you just got to believe in yourself. That's the most important thing, is believing in yourself and not letting anybody make you feel like you can't do it. This is one of the biggest bummers, is I feel like a lot of times the jealousy causes people to have negative responses to when you tell people what you're going to do. So if you say, I'm going to, I'm going to learn this language, like, oh, it's so hard. It's going to be so hard. How are you going to do it? Blah. Or, oh, I'm going to move out of the country. Oh, but what about this? And what about this? Like people will have a lot of negative things to say. Sometimes it's just logical things that they're bringing up, but a lot of times it is people's jealousy sometimes that, well, how come you can do that and I can't do it? But they can if they want to,
Or
so
insecurity too.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of times it is people being insecure in themselves and they don't think that they can, which in turn makes them not able to do it because they don't think. Yeah. Honestly, being a person of a lot of power, a lot of physical power. I'm very strong and confident in myself in this world, and it is very intimidating to people a lot of times. And some people see it in me and they're inspired by it and they love it. But then there's those few people that pop up that take me as a threat, and that sucks. And they're the ones a lot of times that have the negative responses. So it's a matter of not letting people's negativity influence you or make you question yourself. It's a matter of believing in yourself and not letting anybody change that for you. Don't let anybody scare you away from doing anything. So yeah, I guess that would be my final thought, is just believe in yourself and make it happen. And whatever it is, just set your sights on the goal and don't let anybody convince you otherwise. You can do it. It's all in you. All that power is in you. You just have to have confidence in yourself and know that you can make your life whatever you want it to be. And that's my final thought.
And break it down and do it.
Do it.
Just dominate. Dominate that shit, man. Dominate your freaking life. Okay, if you're not going to dominate your life, then you're inviting other people to come in and do it for you.
Yep, exactly.
No
Someone
one should
else
dominate
will do it for you
or dominate your life but you. So don't be a victim of circumstance. Don't just allow, the world to just kind of like toss you to and fro. Grab the reins. Grab the reins. You'll feel so much more rewarded because every aspect of your day will be about creating the world that you want to live in, even if it's as small as like remodeling your house, painting a picture you're going to hang on the wall, taking up a hobby, planning a trip, creating a project or a business enterprise. I mean, you just can't sit back. I mean, we were created to create. I don't know why else we were created. Do you have any suggestions? Any hints, Sammy? Why the fuck are we here? Just to consume all the resources of the earth, leave it dry, die, repeat, or go to heaven, depending on how you believe. But don't you agree? So much of an integral part of our existence, I think, is on basically allowing the cycles of creation to come through into our daily existence and into what we create and leave in the world.
And I think the evolution of humans has given us this wonderful chance to be able to create. I mean, Neanderthal men or people at the time, they were just more focused on survival. Everything that they did was focused on survival. And nowadays, we don't have to focus as much on actual, like, hunting to survive and all of that stuff. So we can kind of eliminate that stress from our life. But now we have the ability through evolution to be able to create things, like you said. And that's what makes us different than most of the other species on this planet. I mean, spiders create webs and, a lot of creatures do create things, but we can create so many different things with so many different mediums that I think it is important for us to utilize that and create what it is that we want in this world. I mean, some people are painters, some people, are construction workers and build beautiful homes and whatever. Like, people have wonderful different strong points in different areas, and I think it's important to figure out what your strong point is and to kind of help facilitate that, unless there's something that you're really passionate about that is not your strong point, which you're going to have to put extra work into that. But yeah, I do think it's important to just figure out what it is that you want to create and make it. Make what you want. I think it's healing for the soul. And yeah, as a evolved human species now, we have a lot of things at our fingertips. I mean, shit, you can create 3D models on computers and print them out on a 3D fucking printer. It's like there's nothing that we can't do right now besides get along with each other, apparently. It's just unfortunate.
Oh, man.
But yeah, the options are endless. It's really cool. I know, isn't that so sad? It's so sad. We can fly to the fucking moon, but we can't, love our neighbor, whatever.
No.
Too bad.
Oh, man. But yeah, everything you said, elevate your world, people. Elevate your life. Seize it.
And reduce your stress. If there's anything in your life that you feel like is bringing you more stress, figure out a way to cut that out or to change it, transmute it into something different. I think that's an important thing as well to bring up that I didn't really think about at the time earlier when we were talking about it. But as well as, having an outlet for your own stresses, try to eliminate what you can. I mean, I was working at a job for about 4.5 years here in Seattle, and there was a lot of things that I really loved about it. It's a really special place. But over time, it got so much more stressful for a million different reasons. And the stress was just becoming overwhelming. And it was physically hurting me. Every day when I would get home from work, Dusty would be like, "Oh, how was work?" And I'm like, ugh. It was the worst. Like, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and I hate it, and I don't want to go back tomorrow. Like, there was so many things that was just causing me physically to feel the stress, and it took me a while to make the definitive decision to leave, but I left. I found a different job that I absolutely love now. I am appreciated. I have my boss telling me how much she loves working with me and how much she just loves me as a person, and she wants to work with me all the time, and how thankful that she is. Every day I work with her. Every single time she tells me how appreciative that she is of me and how thankful that she is to have me there. And I got to tell you, I am so grateful that I just grabbed my balls and left the other job, because I didn't get that at that other job. I got the opposite. I was trying to make things better and trying to help facilitate things to go in more positive directions, and I was met with resistance, and it was really hard, and it hurt my heart. But now I feel so much better. I eliminated that stress from my life. I realized that it was not good for me, that the money that I was making, which was very good money for a serving job, that it was not worth it. Like, the money is not outweighing the amount of stress. It is not worth it. So I work at a different restaurant now, and generally the money is not as good because it's not as big and as busy of a place. But I regret nothing. I am so thankful that I switched it up and I let go of something that caused me that much stress, and I just feel so much better. So that's one thing that I would give my advice is if you're unhappy doing something in your life, or something's bringing you unhappiness, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a job, whatever it is, see what you can do to eliminate that and fill it with something else that's going to be positive. You don't have to do a job that you hate. Newsflash. You don't have to. So many people think they have to because that's just what they do. Well, guess what? You don't have to. You can pick up and go to another job in the same field if you want, or if you want to change fields, it might be a little more challenging, but figure out how to do it. Do whatever you need to do to cultivate happiness in yourself. Don't torture yourself. It's not worth it. If you spend 40 hours or more of your life every week at a job, don't hate it. Don't come home and want to cry. Don't have anxiety while driving to work because you don't want to. That's not the point of this life. We only have this life as ourselves. This is what we've got. And time is very limited, and you never know when the end is coming for you. Hopefully you will live a very, very long life. But, some of us don't get to. So make it count. Do it right. And if you can do that and make sure you're feeding yourself with happiness and good positive things in your life, it's just going to make everything in your life be that much easier. One less thing to worry about. Eliminate it. Get it out. Get it out of your face, and you'll feel so much better in the end. I know for myself, I do. I feel so much better since I made that decision. So you're never stuck unless you allow yourself to be stuck. There's always change that you can do no matter what your situation is. There's always some kind of change you can do to freshen things up.
And if that seems difficult, I mean, Sami is such a brave, fearless person. But I do want to kind of put this out there. This is total Eckhart Tolle advice, but Eckhart Tolle, the spiritual teacher, talks about in any particular situation, you only ever have three choices. So, Sami, you use one of the three, but the first one is that you can accept a situation as it is. The second one is that you can change the situation. And the third is that you can remove yourself from the situation. And there's really nothing else you can do that's constructive. You can complain about the situation and you can allow it to bring you down, but that's not really doing anything. That's just being stagnant. So when you take the situations that occur in your life and you look like, okay, I have three options here. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to change this. I'm going to remove myself from the situation. It allows you to be less intimidated, when it's not exactly what you want it to be. and you can start moving forward. Pivot. All right?
It's a really good point. I like that.
That's
Those
it.
are the three options. You have to decide which
That's
option
it.
you're going to take.
That's really all you have. That's constructive. Like I said, you can bitch and complain and do nothing and be stagnant, but that's not really doing anything, so you really only have three options when it comes to moving forward in your existence: change, accept, or remove yourself. And sometimes you have to accept a situation for what it is before you kind of get your thoughts together, gather your strategy and start planning. Sometimes you have to accept, okay, this is how it is. But, very few things are ever going to be stuck in a particular place. And with everything, there's seasons, there's always going to be ebbs and flows. And you don't ever want to, slack off when you feel the flow, when you feel the energy and you feel the movements and you got it, then move with it. Don't ever hold back when you got it. Let it out. I mean, some seasons are surely more so designed for receiving and gathering and organizing and planning, but don't hold back. You're the creator of your own personal reality, and the more that people are elevated, the more that people feel in alignment with life and feel in alignment with their own personal expression in this life and our collective shared existence on this planet, the more we're all going to be elevated, and the more we're all going to be empowered, and we're going to be able to really shift. And that's the most important thing. This is not about, this is how you achieve wealth, it's a step by step get rich plan here. No, this is about shifting. This is about being empowered and grabbing more so the reins of what we were meant to achieve in this world.
Absolutely. That's a very good way to put that. Grabbing the reins.
Yeah.
Yep. Grab the world by the balls, or the world will grab you by your balls.
Yeah.
And that is no fun, I promise.
Smacked with a sack. You'll just get the balls dragged over your head. And that's not usually preferred. I prefer to be a more active participant in any situation that deals with balls.
Touché.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sami, for being here tonight. You're awesome. I just love speaking with you. I love your energy and your power. And I just love to sit back and watch where reality meets Sami Saurus, and just the beauty that you just emote in so many different ways all around you.
So much. I am very grateful that you see me for who I am and that you appreciate what I am. Thank you for that. I've known you for a very long time, for 13 years or so, and we both come a long way, and I'm just really grateful to have you as a friend, and the fact that you do truly appreciate me, and in turn I appreciate you greatly. I think us positive bad bitches have found each other in this world, and I could not be any more grateful for that. So thank you for having me on the show. I very much appreciate it. And for all of you out there, I hope that you have found some kind of inspiration from all of this, and I hope whatever it is you choose to do, that you just do it and do it fearlessly. Best of luck.
Oh, yeah.
Get it. Awesome. Well, this is Francesca and Sami of the Office of Personal Power signing off. Make that shit happen. Mwah. Love
Bye. See ya.